Deja vu in Texas. Lawmakers had earlier backed off a bill that would outlaw aggressive pat-downs at state airports. But the Lone Star State may be having a change of heart right now. The sponsor of the bill says the measure is gaining support in some very powerful places. Julie Banderas is live at our Fox Newsroom with the details. Hi, Jules.
Yeah, you could call those pat-downs obtrusive or a violation of privacy. Any way you call it. Supporters of a bill that would make intrusive pat-downs a crime are actually out in force today, rallying at the state capitol in Texas. The group Texans for Accountable Government wants a bill that would stop pat-downs to be revisited during the special session. It would ban pat-downs at airport security lines and bring criminal charges for TSA agents if they were to touch someone inappropriately. The bill passed unanimously in the House, but Republicans withdrew their support, fearing a lawsuit from the federal government and the possibility of flight cancellations in Texas. So the bill died in the Senate. Well, supporters believe those searches violate their constitutional rights.
I will never again allow myself to be subjected to such disgusting abuses of power.
The idea is just offensive to me, that they would be grabbing any of my private parts.
And it's not just in Texas. People are having strong opinions about these pat-downs. Legislators in other states are chiming in too. Republican Utah State Representative Carl Rimmer intends to introduce legislation in January that would ban pat-downs without probable cause by Transportation Security Administration workers. He says, quote, "There's only two places citizens are subjected to this type of intrusive search, at airports and jails, and that should be chilling," end quote. If the bill doesn't pass, some say that they will actually start to look at other travel options, while others say if the pat-downs are necessary to keep this country safe, well then, they're all for it. Greg?
Julie Banderas, thanks very much.
Sure.
Well, rally against pat-downs at airport security lines taking place in Austin, Texas. Now, the protesters, they want a bill that was previously shelved to be brought back during a special legislative session. They believe that the searches violate their constitutional rights. Our panel with us now, our power panel, Judy Miller, a Fox News contributor and adjunct fellow at the Manhattan Institute, KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst, and Jamu Green, a Fox News contributor and former president of the Women's Media Council. Thank you all so much for joining us. So the first topic that we want to talk about is these TSA pat-downs. And in the state of Texas, Austin specifically, a big rally against them today. How do you feel about this?
Well, I know this isn't pleasant to be pat down,
right?
But would you prefer to be blown up in an airplane? I mean, that's the choice.
But can't some discretion be used?
Yeah, it should be, and we're learning how to do this better, but ever so slowly. And the TSA needs a good lesson in common sense.
Right.
But we got to remember what's at stake here, and the Texas approach is just not the way to go.
I flew out from Austin last night. Austin's my hometown. I actually got patted down. It was not that big of a deal. I think as most of us on this couch, we probably are on flights several times a month. And, you know, I'd rather be safe than be sorry.
I totally disagree, and I'm the hawk in the group. I think it's just a very bad use of resources. You know, why are we patting down some 3-year-old kid with Granny on the way to Disney World, and we're patting that person down the same way we're patting down some 22-year-old guy who's got a visa, who's been to the Middle East multiple times, who bought his ticket with cash and doesn't have any luggage. I mean, I think what we need to do is to take our resources, which are limited, and focus them on the people who are terrorist potential.
Yeah, KT, you said it's like
a little bit like profiling.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yes, but it's
you want us? I would want to move away from profiling and not pat down 3-year-olds.
Right.
The Israelis do it, and they don't pat people down. And they don't, you know, do all these other things, but they have a very effective system. And
But
I think
KT, it is not the 3-year-old. It's the mom or dad of the 3-year-old who may be putting the dynamite in the nappy.
But
that's the problem.
You're going to do, and you're going to miss that age.
Isn't this sad, though, in general, that this is the world that we live in right now, that we would even have to think of something like that?
Yeah.
That's
just awful.
So most of the people who are objecting to being patted down, they also are objecting to going through the machine, and so you can't have both. It's go through the machine and it will be fine.
Yeah, and they don't have
if
to
we're
fly.
not willing to move forward with technology, then they have to.
I know, that's a little intimidating. All right, our next topic.
Jack Blood.
No Nikes for us. Hey, man. What's going on?
Good to see you.
Passed the House unanimously. 100% of the House of Representatives, the People's House here in Texas, supported that bill. Yeah. There's a lot of good reason. Of course, they're trying to tell us that they need to keep us safe from terrorists. But if you ask me, it seems like the federal agents are the only ones doing the terrorizing these days.
What I went through was wrong. And nobody deserves to go through that. Nobody deserves to have their hands, or another person's hands, in my conscience, and feel around myself, to feel my vagina, to feel my breast, and then to swab me for bomb residue and make me wait 15 minutes behind a closed door where I'm shaking and hoping to God that nothing bad happens to me. I'm shaking right now because I just get angry about it. I get angry that people aren't upset about this. I get angry. I tell people about what I went through that they say you have the option to drive. No, that is not an option. Respect the Fourth Amendment. Respect me. Respect humanity. And respect ethics, for God's sake. Thank you. Because if they don't tell Perry they want it on the floor, Governor Perry's not going to put it on the floor. Right. Take it to the floor.
Take it to the floor. Take it to the floor. Take it to the floor. Take it to the floor. Take it to the floor.
I was surrounded by about 15 TSA agents when I said I don't feel comfortable going through this. And when they said they were going to touch my body, I said I didn't feel comfortable with that either. And after much discussion and being taunted by their supervisor, being told that the Fourth Amendment gives them the right to touch my body, so I complied. I ended up standing there while a very sweet woman touched me with the backs of her hands and the entire time. We were both taunted by the supervisor of the TSA as he laughed at me and ridiculed me for simply saying I didn't want to go through the body scanner.
Dude, punch him in there.
About 6 months later, we flew out to California. I was a speaker at an event, and I stood there and I said, I am making a choice today that I will never again allow myself to be subjected to such disgusting abuses of power. Oh, the irony. On our way home, as I was about 1 foot from the metal detector, a lady grabbed my arm and told me the computer had selected me and I needed to go to the device.
I selected the computer.
Sure. At this point in time, I was only about 6 weeks pregnant. I didn't look it. And I stood there. John had already gone through. And I asked the people in line behind me, is someone going to stand up for me? I'm trying to go home. Will somebody please stand up and speak up for me?
So Rick Perry, will you side with Caligula or will you side with the people? Our moms, our daughters, our sons, our grannies can be physically accosted under the guise of national security. And all that means is national control. Security is another word for control. It is an illusion. There's no security, folks. Rick Perry, will you side with INSOC or will you side with the people? So we are here today, we dare to be here today to redress our grievances. Life, liberty, and property. Get your hands off of it. Freedom is the answer. It doesn't matter what the question is, folks. And when people ask you, and they go, well, why have a different definition of freedom than you? Life, liberty, and property. That's what you tell them. I'm not going to mess with yours. You're not going to mess with mine. This is a free country. I love this country. I love Texas. Now, earlier, there was a little bit of a division here because we've got to be united on profiling. I happen to believe, and this is my personal opinion, that a lot of this is a problem to get a reaction to give us the solution of complete profiling of everybody. And it's not just going to be Muslims. It's not just going to be the alleged terrorists. It's going to be everybody. There's going to be no flightless. There's going to be no workless. There's going to be no foodless unless you biometric passport, which they're discussing right now in the District of Criminals under the Obama administration. And Republicans, Democrats, they're all going for, hey, do you owe a little money? You can't fly, you can't rent, you can't buy. And that is what total profiling means. And right now they have a registered traveler program. If you want to submit to this biometric prison, you can sign up. You can go in, they can have your iris scan, your thumbprints, your full biometrics. Is that what we want this country to be?
I am so thankful for what all of y'all are doing. We are not alone. And I am not alone in the Texas House. 94 other House members co-authored HB 1937. Several weeks ago, passed out of the House on second and third reading unanimously. Then the bill went to the Senate, and Senator Patrick stood up as he promised to do so, and sponsored that legislation, and nearly got a unanimous support for that bill among the 31 senators. Yeah. And then, after 3 months, at the 11th hour, a couple of TSA agents showed up to lobby the Texas legislature. Did the TSA show up? But at the 11th hour, the Department of Justice sent an inaccurate letter full of falsehoods, threatening a no-fly zone if this legislation was enacted. That ain't right. This is a come and take it moment. That's right. 175 years ago at Gonzales, a government that had gone astray and revoked the Constitution came to get a little cannon to the citizens, the peaceful citizens of Gonzales, to protect themselves from the terrorists of those days. They came to take that gun, their self-defense, from them. No! And we told them, come and take it! Demonstrations love freedom. They love their safety, but they love freedom more than security. They wouldn't give up their security, their safety, their freedom in the name of security. That's how we won our independence, and that's how we're going to keep